50 centimeters is the exact width of the wet strip that ended Max Verstappen's home race on lap 1. This leftover damp patch sat just inside the dry line exiting the final corner banking at Zandvoort. It is the only verified technical anomaly connected to the crash during the 2026 Dutch Grand Prix. Yet the tension at Red Bull stems from a narrative gap between the crash and the official scrutiny. The FIA's investigative focus did not land on Verstappen or his RB22 car during the red flag. So why does the story suggest a forensic deep dive when the paperwork tells a different tale? That question hangs over the weekend because no hidden footage was actually found regarding the accident. The tension comes from the contrast between a catastrophic exit and the absence of any technical inquiry. Stewards opened investigations during the stoppage, but targeted 3 completely unrelated drivers instead. Franco Colapinto, Arvid Lindblad, and Esteban Ocon faced scrutiny for alleged yellow flag infringements after the crash. They were investigated for their conduct while safety crews attended to the stricken championship contender. Race control was active, but not in the way anyone expected given the opening lap collision. This disconnect creates a vacuum where speculation thrives without concrete evidence to support it. Verstappen offered little to fill that void beyond saying the impact could have been worse. Sky Sports quoted that brief characterization which suggests relief rather than dispute over the cause. Formula 1. Khan called the weekend disappointing, but provided no verbatim quote, reacting specifically to the crash. We are left analyzing silence where we usually expect detailed telemetry debates or angry press conferences. The race resumed after roughly an hour with Lando Norris eventually retaking the lead. He secured his second consecutive victory of the 2026 season ahead of Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. The ghost of that 50-centimeter wet strip remains the only confirmed villain in this entire story. Cold, hard facts matter. Speculation fills voids. Silence speaks volumes. So where does that leave us regarding the actual regulatory outcome of this chaotic session? The physics of that specific moment reveal why the RB22 became uncontrollable despite Verstappen's initial correction. Telemetry analysis confirms the car clipped the damp patch twice in rapid succession before the wall contact. He managed the first touch without losing position, but the second application of throttle proved fatal to his traction. The rear axle snapped sideways precisely when he believed the corner had fully dried. This judgment error occurred because the wet strip was positioned deceptively within the racing line itself. It was not a puddle in an obvious danger zone, but a residual hazard hidden by the track's banking geometry. Zandvoort's unique final corner amplifies these risks due to its steep gradient and limited runoff. A pre-race shower had deposited moisture that evaporated everywhere except this one stubborn 50-centimeter band. Drivers behind him navigated the same section without incident once they knew where to look. But on lap 2 there was no reference point and no warning from race control about this specific anomaly. Verstappen hit the barriers heavily enough to end Red Bull's challenge immediately. The damage was terminal for their strategic hopes at their home venue. Safety crews extracted the car while marshals cleared debris from the tarmac surface. Medical checks confirmed he was unhurt despite the violence of the deceleration. The red flag flew almost instantly as officials recognized the severity of the blockage. Spectators in the orange-clad grandstands fell silent watching their hero walk back to the garage. This scene carried extra weight given the uncertain future of the event itself. Reports indicate Zandvoort has no Formula 1 contract beyond this 2026 edition. Every lap here could theoretically be his last on this historic circuit. Ending that potential farewell on the opening lap adds a layer of melancholy to the technical failure. No mechanical fault was found in the post-crash inspection of the chassis or power unit. Stewards explicitly ruled out any component issue with the RB22 as a contributing factor. Track conditions combined with driver assessment formed the sole basis of the incident report. Residual dampness from earlier weather created a variable grip surface that punished aggression. This attribution matters because it closes the door on any conspiracy regarding car legality. There is no basis in the verified record for claims of withheld evidence or secret inquiries. The FIA did not discover new camera angles that changed the narrative after the fact. What we have is a complete picture of a racing incident caused by environmental variables. Wet asphalt persists. Grip vanishes instantly. Momentum shifts violently. The brutality of that sequence explains why the paddock reaction focused on safety rather than scandal. Race fans and the race both led their coverage with the red-flagged framing as the defining moment. They treated it as a sporting tragedy for Red Bull rather than a regulatory mystery. The tension mentioned in headlines exists only in the gap between expectation and reality. Fans wanted answers about hidden footage but received confirmation of a simple wet patch instead. So what actually happened during that hour-long stoppage if not a forensic examination of Verstappen's crash? During that 60-minute suspension of racing, stewards directed their full attention toward Franco Colapinto, Arvid Lindblad, and Esteban Ocon for alleged yellow flag breaches. These 3 drivers faced immediate scrutiny not for causing the crash but for their behavior in its chaotic aftermath. Race control flagged specific sectors where deceleration appeared insufficient under double yellow conditions. The investigation ran parallel to safety operations yet remained entirely distinct from Verstappen's incident. No official document links this probe to Red Bull or the championship leader's retirement. This separation is critical because it dismantles the premise of a hidden scandal involving the title contender. Stewards were enforcing sporting regulations regarding driver conduct under caution flags. They were not reviewing telemetry to find fault with the RB22's setup or legality. The distinction matters because regulatory focus defines what actually happened versus what rumors suggest. Penalties loomed for procedural errors. Safety protocols demanded compliance. Attention shifted elsewhere. Colapinto and Lindblad received confirmed drive-through penalties as a direct result of this yellow flag review. Ocon remained under investigation, but no sanction was publicly tied to him in the available records. Their infractions occurred while marshals worked trackside near the final corner banking. Drivers approaching that zone had to demonstrate clear respect for the danger signals displayed. Failure to do so triggered automated flagging systems that alerted race control instantly. This process is standard procedure during any red flag period involving on-track recovery. It has nothing to do with determining crash causation or assigning blame for the initial contact. Yet the timing created an illusion of connected investigations for casual observers following live updates. Headlines mentioning FIA probes naturally gravitated toward Verstappen given his status. But the paperwork tells a story of routine enforcement against midfield runners instead. This misalignment between perception and documented fact fuels the ongoing confusion. Viewers searching for evidence of concealed footage will find only penalty notices for unrelated competitors. The absence of any statement from Christian Horner or Red Bull disputing steward decisions reinforces this disconnect. Teams typically issue press releases when they believe investigations are misdirected or unfair. Silence here suggests acceptance that the yellow flag probe was legitimate and properly targeted. It also implies no grievance exists regarding how Verstappen's crash was handled by officials. If hidden footage existed that exonerated or implicated their driver, legal teams would be mobilizing immediately. Instead, we see normal operational rhythm resuming after the stoppage ended. Cars returned to grid positions with repaired barriers and cleared debris. The hour-long delay served its intended purpose of restoring safe racing conditions. Nothing more emerged from that window than what was already visible on public broadcasts. Cameras captured everything. Data streams flowed continuously. No secrets surfaced later. So, if the investigation wasn't about Verstappen, who actually benefited from the chaos that unfolded during those tense 60 minutes? Here is where it gets serious. With Verstappen out on lap 1, the 2026 championship fight didn't pause for mourning but instead exploded into a direct battle for supremacy. Kimi Antonelli seized the lead immediately on the restart, diving past Lando Norris in a move that signaled a generational shift at the front of the grid. For several laps, it looked as though the Italian rookie might capitalize on the chaos to claim a shock-maiden victory at Zandvoort. But Norris had other plans and methodically closed the gap to the middle stint. He retook the position in the closing third of the race with a decisive overtake that restored his momentum. That pass secured his second consecutive win of the 2026 season and extended his points advantage while Red Bull scored 0. George Russell completed the podium in third place, consolidating Mercedes' strong showing during the red flag reset. The result reshuffled the title standings dramatically within 90 minutes of racing time. Points swung wildly. Championships pivoted instantly. Opportunities vanished forever. This outcome carries weight far beyond a single race weekend because it demonstrates how quickly competitive balance can shift when the dominant force disappears. Without Verstappen's RB22 controlling the pace, the field compressed into genuine wheel-to-wheel combat. Teams that had been managing gaps suddenly found themselves fighting for survival against resurgent rivals. Antonelli's brief lead proved he has the raw speed to challenge established champions under pressure. Norris's response confirmed he possesses the racecraft to defend a championship lead against fresh aggression. Russell's consistent scoring keeps Mercedes firmly in the constructors' conversation despite lacking outright qualifying dominance. Each position gained or lost during that final third carried multiplied value due to the unexpected vacancy at the top. Strategy calls became gambles rather than calculations. Tire windows narrowed significantly. Margins evaporated completely. The statistical reality is that Norris now holds back-to-back victories in a season where consistency was supposed to be Red Bull's exclusive domain. His ability to convert a chaotic restart into controlled victory suggests McLaren has solved the race management puzzles that plagued them previously. Meanwhile, Antonelli's near miss provides invaluable experience for future battles against seasoned opponents. He learned exactly what it takes to hold off a charging champion under maximum pressure. Russell's third place ensures Mercedes maintains development momentum heading into the latter half of the calendar. These three drivers absorbed the opportunity created by that 50-centimeter wet strip and converted it into tangible championship currency. The tension at Red Bull isn't about hidden footage anymore. It's about watching rivals build unstoppable momentum while their garage remains silent. So how does a team recover from such a comprehensive strategic collapse when the next race arrives without pause? Remember how this all started. with that blunt figure of 50 centimeters defining the exact width of the wet strip that ended Verstappen's race on lap 1. That specific measurement remains the only verified technical anomaly, yet the human response to it tells a different story than any hidden footage ever could. Sky Sports quoted Verstappen saying the heavy wall impact could have been a lot worse, a phrase that signals profound relief rather than regulatory dispute. He was not demanding inquiries or pointing fingers at track officials in that moment. Instead, he acknowledged the physical danger he had just escaped while walking back through the gravel trap. This characterization shifts the entire narrative away from conspiracy and toward personal safety. The tension at Red Bull is real, but it stems from lost points and strategic collapse, not suppressed evidence. His brief comment confirms acceptance of the incident's cause as environmental rather than mechanical. No hidden camera angle would change the reality of residual dampness on asphalt. No secret investigation would alter the physics of a throttle application on low-grip surface. Relief outweighed frustration, safety trumped scandal, acceptance replaced anger. This emotional calibration matters because it aligns perfectly with the steward's own findings of zero-component failure. When the driver himself expresses gratitude for survival over demands for justice, it validates the official attribution to track conditions. The FIA's focus on yellow flag infringements involving Colapinto, Lindblad, and Ocon during the red flag now appears even more logical in retrospect. Resources were correctly allocated to active safety compliance rather than relitigating an accident whose cause was already understood by all parties. Verstappen's quote serves as the final piece of evidence closing the loop on speculation. It transforms what could have been a weekend of controversy into a sobering reminder of racing's inherent risks.